The Hebrew text in the Bible has hidden formats. By revealing these formats, I will prove the first writer's words were hidden from you. These formats look like poetry as I group them into small paragraphs. Their grouping will become known as a psalm, and together they become psalms. Let me show you our Creator's 12 commandments, listed in Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. Any father of a family or his wife who did not obey any one of these 12 commandments, our Creator demanded they bring him a sin offering. Thus, our Creator defined the word sin as not obeying any one of these 12 commandments. Next, I want to show you how I changed one word in Exodus 26, verse 26, the word bars to arches, and the words now reveal the style of the roof for our Creator's tent for meeting with Him. Let me show you the translator's words from the preface of the 1611 King James Bible. They gave 4 reasons for themselves or others to edit the Bible's words. The red arrow at the top points to their 3rd reason to edit the text. By the light and feeling we attained unto ourselves. The next red arrow down points to them giving the title, the Divine, to a clerk named Gregory. The next block of words, they point out they were happy that the first emperor of Rome established the year to the course of the sun. Behind this text means Nebuchadnezzar ordered his kingdom to follow our Creator's calendar when he stopped eating grass. Did you notice the letter S in sun is capitalized? This is to give respect to the Egyptian sun god Ra. Have you seen the Egyptian obelisk in the Vatican's front yard? The last arrow points to your reward for studying the Bible. Your reward is to have a fellowship with the saints and participation of a heavenly nature that will never fade away. There is no such thing as nature to a truthful Christian. Our Creator created everything. By their own words, they were not seeking to know our Creator or Jesus. Not everyone has the knowledge to correct every word. I have an old Bible program that has the New American Standard Bible 1977 concordance to help find a better word. Their concordance has the number of times they use that English word in a parenthesis for that Hebrew word. The translators removed his name, YHVH, to put in 2 titles, Lord and God. I replaced those titles using the letters Y and V as his name. For the Hebrew language does not have a J, O, or W. By using these 2 letters, I am closer to the truth than anyone using J, O, or W for his name. So why is there a single letter O in the Hebrew text 1,095 times? No proper English was used? The blue highlighted text is text that I am removing. The red highlighted words are little words that I'm adding. Gray italic words are words that I added. To respect and honor our Creator, all capital letters in purple are our Creator's words. This is Jesus' prophecy, for I am revealing the first writer's words to tell you the true truths about Jesus. As the text is revealed, you can taste the writer's style of wording. Their words will take your belief to trusting our Creator. You will be watching prophecy before your eyes as I edit true truths back into their psalms. This will be part 3, or chapter 3. I'm trying to divide them into chapters. This is the end of 2, and this is the format that's been consistent ever since I started doing Daniel. And I'm pretty sure it's going to run all the way through all Daniel. And what you're seeing is a 3-verse format that makes a small paragraph, and then it repeats, and then these 2 are grouped together to make like a larger paragraph. And then I have it separated, and it keeps repeating and repeating and repeating, which this text is probably 2,400 years old, maybe right around there. And then I have notes of this text. It doesn't make any sense or needs better understanding, so I'll correct that later. Now I had a trouble streaming. I took you over to my concordance to look at some words as I was trying to figure out better words, and I hit the button, and I know I did, and it was 20 minutes later before I looked at the screen and seen I had stuck it on there. I've been stuck in the concordance. So you didn't get to see any of this. So instead of me going over and starting all over again, what I did was I took this word king and put it over here, and that's how I used yellow highlighting to say I moved it within that verse or within like a group of words here. And I had to use the word overlaid with gold, because if you made it with gold, it was just too much, because a cubic is 18 inches and just 10 cubics is 180 inches, which is 15 feet. So I couldn't have this thing 60 of them. So it has to be 2 cubics, which makes it 30 feet tall. Now, and then I made it only 2 wide. And when you see the orange or the fuchsia colored words, that's words that are added in the New American Standard 1977 text. And since I'm using that word, I will color it and leave it italic. The blue is to say I'm getting rid of this text. The red is saying I'm adding it, so when it's cleaned up, you can see the italic words that I added. When I'm doing this format, you can see that I'm trying to stay to this 1-2 words in a sentence, and then using another small or smaller words to connect them together. Whoops. Now, what I did was I had to say that he placed it on a stand in the city Babylon, because he wouldn't want to send it on some province where people weren't going to see it. They have it on the plain. That's just not really truthful. So it was, but I put in the city of Babylon, and then I added the text to make the format for everyone to see. A king summons. He didn't send for him. He summoned to assemble. And these guys here, I decided as I could make them all officials and say all his officials. And then here I needed this verse as a statement, and all these again, I could say all his officials were assembled for the dedication. Then, as they stood before it, the heralder proclaimed, "To you are given a command," where I had to use the word given from here over here. It just sounds, it reads better. Not command is given. And then it's peoples for his kingdom. It's not his nations or from his nation, from other kingdoms. Babylon is a kingdom, and it's quite large. It might be, I think, 700-800 miles wide, and maybe about 200 in width, so maybe even a little bit more. But at the moment you hear the sound from my horn, you are to bow down as to worship, okay? As you are bow down to worship it. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, I know I've copied that at several different places here. The golden image of Nebuchadnezzar, your king. But whoever does not bow down to worship, as to worship it, will be cast into a furnace. I didn't need to say in the midst. I didn't need to know that there was a fire. We know what a furnace is. Therefore, at that time, when they heard the sound of the horn, it's got to be they bowed. Whoops, let me put the word it here first. They bowed as to worship it, the golden image of Nebuchadnezzar, their king. So let me put in some of the editing marks. And it's for this reason, this bowing down, certain officials came forward. They wanted Chaldeans. Chaldeans lived below the Euphrates River, not in Babylon, which is between, well, I guess there's many maps you can look, but I've got a map that is more correct than they got, but it's pretty much you should know the area. And it's for this reason they came forward to bring the penalty, and the penalty here was if you don't worship, you're going to be cast into a furnace. And then I had to bring their names forward because later down here, it's going to be that these guys were named. Well, I'm going to put their name here to meet the format. Bring the penalty against these three, and by asking Nebuchadnezzar, our King of Kings, live forever. Now, that was took me a half hour to go through and get all that editing. So even though I know I might have spoke for 5 minutes, there's a lot of work to do these. You yourself, I don't need the word king. Use yourself have made a decree that every man, that means male and female, by the way, that I think it's going to, but the story is that only the officials were there. Officials, I think I got the I wrong, yep. Okay. That every official, who hear, who, who hears the sound of the horn are to, and where is this? And I would put your golden image. Statue. This is going to be hearing. Well, maybe not, as we No, it's got to be just here. Well, here, the horn. I'm just checking to make sure I'm not kicked off. Okay. As we hear the horn, we were to bow down as to worship your golden statue. But whoever does not worship it will be cast into a furnace. Okay. Now it's these guys again. Now let's see how my whom you appointed. Not over administration. There were I'm going to say 3 whom you appointed this of the province of Babylon. This I don't think so. This here, whom you appointed, it's got to be as officials, in your, I'm going to put government. I'm trying to make sure that the words that are used are enough for a 12-year-old to read easily. Okay, so government. In your government. Whoops, yeah, this guy here, and this guy here. And you would need, now they're going to call them out. That would be, I'm going to put their names. So their names are, and I'm just going to get rid of this and just say I added it. And their names are, well, not obeyed and disregarded, have disregarded your command. Let's see what the word disregard. Now, this is what I did last time, and I got all kinds of trouble for not taking you there to see what's going on. This is verse 12. Disregarded. I'm going to put the word ignored. So let me see if that's kind of what the secular world agrees with here. Not the theorists. Yep, ignored. Ignored your command. Or let's see, for they do not serve our gods or worship them. You know, when this story is being said right now, this is kind of confusing for the simple fact that it's like he doesn't know who the first or the second chapter when Nebuchadnezzar tells us that, but he doesn't know that they're Israelis. Okay. So I guess if you're just naming the name without them, there are Israelis whom you appointed. Then I'm going to need the word Israelis here. Israelis. Now that goes that he would know they're tied to David, or to Daniel, which he didn't set them up, which and I'm not going to use it then. our gods and worship them, or your, let's need an R here, or your golden statue. Okay. Now, then could be now. Now, he was angry. And gave his command as a king does. King doesn't order, king commands. And gave his command. But these guys need to be in this. So I've got to get rid of one of those lines above here. Because that's going to be the end. This is going to be here. And it's going to be to bring him and it's going to be then he gave his command. That's the statement, to bring him these three guys. Then I guess I could say that because they had to, that's pretty good. But as first person text, our king Nebuchadnezzar said to them, "Is it true?" Okay, is it true now? You do not serve my gods. That's because of the text already. Him knowing who our creator is. That doesn't. This has that you, instead of do not, you only that you only serve that you serve your God. Um, that you serve your God. You obey, that you are obeying your God. This would be like this and like this. Now, the word God, most of the time here, it will be this L-E-L, whatever. But that's been consistent in the text. So I'm not going to, well, I should put it here. And then put your God. And I'm going to do it like this. And not worship. My golden statue I set up. Well, I had, and it's not set up, it's made. I'll just put made to be more correctly, because I'm thinking I think that's a better way of saying it than what he's saying. And since I'm the editor, now if you at the moment you hear the sound of a horn, I gotta go find that verse here. I'm just trying to think what's going on here. Worship. My image. Oh, there it is. I made. I had made. Covers my butt, doesn't it? Made. It's gonna be at the sound of the horn. Will you three do as I commanded? And I'm not sure I need all of these. Whoops. Will you do as I commanded? And bow as to worship my image I had made. Don't need these words. But if you will not, you will be immediately cast into a furnace's fire. Okay. Now let's see how far I got to go. Okay, I got quite a ways to go yet. So what I'm going to, I got a lot to do yet. Okay, that's not going as fast as I thought it was going. But I'm just going to do a quick cleanup here on what I've done here, because I thought I've gone quite a ways that I should be able to at least show you those that are new here to bring this text into from the past to the future of the hidden formats that are being covered up and people are being deceived by not knowing the true words here. And you see, the words that I've done, they really haven't been overly edited. So, but you can see how they're grouped together. I'm going to have to take a more serious look at it. I'm looking and I'm not seeing. Because this is a separate story, so I can't say. So this has to be the starting of it. This has to be two of these spaces, this size space, to be here, and then one, and now it has to be two of those, which it seems to be, but there should only be one here. Maybe I just got to keep doing it to see what happens. This, it's got to be a second. It looks like, okay. It looks like I've needed to do that. But that's one. This has to be two. This has to be two. This has to be two. This has to be one. This has to be two. This has to be one. Two. Oops. Wow. That actually did end up going into, it just kept working. So I've got it right so far. And then this. But that's the format, and I hope you had a chance to read it while I was cleaning it up. But that looks pretty good. It's and it reads awfully smooth. It finally reads where you don't have to go back and forth to get it. But more important, it's in the first writer's format. So, but if you will not, you will be needed to cast into the furnace of fire. Not what God, which God. Now just get rid of this and get rid of that and say he's more or less which God is there who can deliver you from, oops, deliver you from my hand, uh, my order, no, my command. Okay. And I realized I forgot to put a space here. I need to find what was my last verse here. Furnace of fire. Okay. Furnace of fire. And then put in just something so when I go in to look, I can spot it easily enough to say I need this group here to be cleaned up. Now, the friends of David, or David, I don't know why I'm doing that. Daniel, I'm working in Daniel. Answered. And here's where I'm going to, because this has been working as a group like this. Usually this word is at the front of this, but it's this to King Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar answered. Okay. Move verse up. Moved verse here into King Nebuchadnezzar answered. We do not need to give you an answer concerning this. And I'm going to put it as get rid of the word matter. Answer this. If it, not, this is not, not whom we serve, but whom we obey. So they would be telling him now who. YV is whom we obey and worship. Oops. And worship. And he is able to deliver us. Love that confidence, don't you? Deliver us from the furnace's fire. Oops. Furnace's fire. And deliver us oops, deliver us safely safely. I'm going to say I have to add that. Although I'm going to say it's within the shadow of the word. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to put it as just replace that word. It's within the shadow of the word out. So, and deliver us safely from our king's command. Okay. So now if I bring that up, but if he but if he does not, let it be known to our king we will not will not If I get rid of this, we will not go to and worship. It has to be worship. It has to be any God. Or worship your. I guess I'll use the word or as a major word. Or your golden statue. Now, did that get him mad? Okay. Then Nebuchadnezzar was filled with wrath. And it's going to be towards these three. So, again, and you can see here how I was saying just above how there's an important word here. And then this and this becomes the end point. So, I've got to find I'm going to have to do it this way. Then he was filled with hate. Okay. We don't need the extra exclamation on his face, do we? Toward these three guys. No. So he I guess I have to do it again here. Commanded. Or the furnace. To be more than it is usually heated. Don't need that word. Then commanded is, and they would be guards Then he commanded, I should have done that, moved that over a long time ago. I'm sorry. Get that out of there. So, more than it was usually heated. Then he commanded his guards to tie up. Tie up means bind. Bind our favorite guys here. This is being said down here, so I don't need to repeat. And they no. I'm going to put then they were tied up. We know they were dressed and cast into the midst of the furnace's fire. Now this we already know. Although no, we don't. This means who cast or who threw. Who threw through them him. Now I don't need this. Don't need their names. We know who they are. And So I have to put fire's heat. Ooh. I'm going to add that. And killed his guards. It's not that hard to actually correct this text at all. It's pretty easy. There's been others that if you've watched my videos, I got to bring out maps, tell you long stories of why I'm changing a word. But here, and now I get rid of that and use that as the end. Because the furnace was made extremely hot, so those two together. Was by the king's command. The furnace was made extremely hot, and the fire's heat killed the guards who threw them in. Okay. But these three, I'm not sure if I need these names here. So I'm just gonna stall for time and just kind of say that. Let me see how it's reading here. But R, being it's got to be written first person, but our 3 men, period. And see, I don't need them. Fell into the so you can see that this furnace somehow has to be, I'm thinking it's got to have a door. The furnace has got to have like pipes or something like pipes, brick channels or tubes to go heat the castles when I'm seeing this. Into, I'm going to make it the king's furnace then to make sure that everybody would learn that it's into the midst of his furnaces fire. So it means at the top, they were able to toss logs in, okay? So that means they had a door that was open that they were carrying them, or they were, because I don't know if they would just walk right in there with them. Because what is the text saying here? Who threw them in? Who threw? Yeah, so they probably, now you got to understand, a log is going to be pretty good size, and so there's going to be quite an area to put these logs in. And being that they're probably brought in on a cart and rolled in, so this is going to be pretty big, to where one guy's going to toss, and the next guy's going to toss, and the next guy's going to be tossed. Okay, it makes sense to me that way. I'm trying to make it truthful, so if I can make sense of the words out of what I'm editing, then everybody else should at least come to the same assumption I am. But our three men fell into the midst of his furnace's fire, and Nebuchadnezzar shocked, shocked, and stood up in haste, and asked, asked his officials. Now, these would have been the ones that were there that made the claim against him. Was it not three men we cast bound? I cast bound. I had cast bound, yes. Well, not three. I had cast, yeah, I don't need this. Was it not three I had cast bound into the midst of the fire? Again, they answered yes. And then I'm going to see how it works from here, because I don't need that. I said yes. And he said, look. I see 4. Don't need that word. 4 is taking care of that. Loose and walking. In the midst of the fire. Oops, comma. Without harm. And the appearance of the 4th is like an angel angel from there looks like an angel from there God YV. Okay, and that should, okay, it's getting closer to the end. So this one's only been an hour and 18 minutes. That's pretty good then. Then he became to the door of the furnace, blazing with fire, and called out to but you notice how quickly the pattern is getting there? I mean, it's not, this is not difficult. This is probably one of come out. This is probably the easiest book, I think, to actually find a format, because the story is so right there in your face and not like the others that you find only pieces of stories. And you have to figure out if it's a 3-verse or a 4-verse. Servants 4. You servants for YV. And our servants. And our servants for YV came out from the midst of the fire, and our king and his officials gathered round to look. I don't know if this is going to be two words or one, but look over. That's what they're doing. They're going to inspect them. To look over to them over. So this is getting this. This is getting this. Period. Nor was the hair of their head singed. Now how am I going to get this next group together? And saw the fire and saw the fire had no effect Okay, I better come down because I was trying to cut this off here. But that is like this. No, maybe I need this. Boy. In regard to this, I'm going to put this, that, and saw the fire. It's the fire that is the word this is covering, and not using the word men, because they're called out. We know that the men are there. In regard to this, they saw the fire. In regard to they gathered around to look them over. In regard, let me see here. This is 27. Haven't been here for a while. It doesn't even exist. So that means it was an added word. So gathered around to look them over. If I get rid of that word and this word, to look them over. Um, that's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to put it in. Coming from, look them over, from coming from the fire. They saw the fire had no effect. And that, I believe, is very truthful. Um, Sorry, I gotta wipe my nose. It's starting to run from all that coughing and hacking. So Okay, I'm back. On the bodies. Are men, nor was the hair of their head singed, nor were their trousers damaged, or had the smell of fire upon them. And this would break into the next group. Nebuchadnezzar said, "You are you are you you are blessed by YV." Maybe it's you were delivered. You are blessed by YV. Because now he's convinced that he's our creator who sent his angel to deliver you. I'm thinking for you, his servants, servants, trusted, obeyed him. violating my command. I think I used the word ignored before. Ignoring command. Was not to, I don't think I need this. Do not to obey. Ignoring my command so as not to obey me or any God except YHVH. Therefore I decree any person in my kingdom person in my kingdom that speaks anything awesome, offensive against YHVH against YHVH and all this oops no or or 2. No, I can't do that. This is just can't be there. Anything offensive against YV. If we put torn to die. Or there is no other God God has, like he's done it before. Has delivered. There is no God. There is no other. If I stick this up here, has delivered this way, and then that's done. And there, no, that are, depends on how past tense this was written. But I think it would have been written in Babylon at that time. Add them. Add them. In the city. Then our king. I'm going to have to use gave, not caused, but gave, but it's within the shadow of this word. Gave them a home That's the best I can do to say that that's the end of this. Gave them a home in the city Babylon. Okay. Now I got to go up until I find that right there. Then go all the way down here. Bring up this text here. Place it in here. Now let's see how you see this. Grab it right there. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. Boy, that was a lot of text that I cleaned. All right. So far, so good. Two of them, one of them, two here, one here, two here, two there, and then two here, two here. this is so cool when I see this just falling into place, that then it's just one space here, and then two. Whoops, this needs two here, this needs one, this needs two. This has to be two here. Just beautiful, isn't it? This needs one. And that's two. And that's a good grouping right there. That needs two. That's two. That needs two. And there it is. What I was trying to stop didn't happen. Oh, so there's a verse now missing. Well, actually, it's a 3 verse. So I've got to, whoops. Now look at that. And now we have 3 verses moving, because when I'm looking, these go together so well, especially when I start seeing this. These still group together. Once I knew that these grouped together, all the other ones I know were going to fall together. But that is just beautiful. Now, this is getting very, very long. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop for the day, and then I'm going to continue with chapter 4 and get through Daniel. And I'm thinking this story is still in order, and that is boggles my mind. For as many as the books that I've done, I usually only get pieces and parts, and then they have to be shuffled around. So, man, just great news, people. You're going to have a text that reveals the true truths about our Creator and what He's done for His people that obey Him. And they are righteous by obeying Him, and about Jesus.